All right, hello everybody. Welcome here to this review of This Is Us. All right. Sorry about that. I just replied to somebody. I apologize. I forgot I was already live. Anyways, get to my notes here. This week's This Is Us gives Randall the sliding doors treatment with 100% pure life-changing haircuts and 200% more painful destruction. So here we go. A therapy session with Dr. Lee provides the stepping off point for an episode long on what Randall's life would have looked like had Jack not died in that house fire and what these alternate takes say about how the city councilman really feels about his family speaks volumes to what slithering underneath all those dad jokes. In his therapist's office, excuse me, Randall admits that he hasn't been able to stop thinking about the question he posed to Kevin in New York. What would their lives have been like if their father hadn't died? Let me launch right into Randall's version of that timeline, in which Jack and Rebecca return from the hospital together, reassuring everyone that Papa Pearson is fine, the smoke inhalation was minimal. They report, we're all going to be fine, we're here together. That's all that matters, Jack says, hugging his kids. This family is the only thing that matters. The fire puts life into perspective for Rebecca, who decides it's time to tell Jack about meeting Randall's biological father all those years ago. Then the two of them approach Randall, who doesn't care that his birth father was an addict at the time. This whole time, you knew who he was. You just kept it secret from me all these years. He announces he's going to see William on his own, but Jack quietly says he'll accompany him. So when the men travel to Philadelphia and knock on William's door, "My name is Randall Pearson. I think I'm your son," Randall announces, and they're invited in. William is warm but twitchy, jittery, and scratching his skin. None of it escapes Jack's attention. Randall, however, is transfixed by stories of his biological mother and how William looks at him when he says you were never not wanted. William also gives his son the book of poetry we've seen before. On the way back to Pittsburgh, Randall excitedly makes plans for another visit. A weary Jack gently warns him to temper his expectations. He was a very nice man, but I think he might still be using. Jack says, adding that he's not comfortable with Randall being around someone in that state. Was that you're an addict too? And swiftly retorts, and yeah. But the commonality between Jack and William turns into a bond. They attend 12-step meetings together. Randall eventually decides to attend Carnegie Mellon, but not because he wants to stick close to his grieving mother, but because he wants to be near his recently discovered biological father. He still meets Beth at freshman orientation and invites her home for a special dinner with his siblings, but this time Jack is there. Things are good, except between Randall and Rebecca, whom he repeatedly forgive for keeping William from him for years. In fact, his behavior is so dickish during the meal that Beth pulls him into the kitchen to set him straight. Her dad is her dad is no longer around, but Randall has two awesome ones who are still alive. So maybe he could count this blessing and count his mom some slack. Randall immediately reverses course and softens toward Rebecca, marking many times that Beth will metaphorically slap some sense into her. And from there, the major events of Randall's life, his wedding, rehearsal, dinner, his birth, unfold all three of the parents involved. And when William notes that his stomach is a little funny one Christmas morning, Randall makes moves to get his dad seen by a doctor immediately, which leads to his stomach cancer getting caught in its very early stages. Then we cut to the past, Thanksgiving, where Rebecca's memory problem caused Jack and Randall to share knowing where he lands. Dr. Lee stops him right there. I suspect that you and your father are about to band together to save your mother. So I'm just trying to keep track here. She complained. During his near perfect scenario in which he even manages to cure stomach cancer, he admits that his version is rose colored, but Lee wants to go deeper. We can either play games or be honest. Your choice, she says. And that's the moment I decided, I like this one. So they reframed the question. Tell me what scares you the most about what could have happened if your father survived that night. And that's when stuff gets real. Rewind to the fire and Rebecca's crisis of consciousness after it. Only this time, Jack is incredibly angry about her admission. You met our son's birth father, and then you lied to me about it for 17 years. He says in disgust, I can't even look at you right now. The Rebecca I know is incapable of something this cruel. To make matters worse, Randall overhears this argument, and that's how he learns about Rebecca at William's meeting. He understandably upset too, but Jack blocks Rebecca's effort to explain, assuring that he'll take care of the boy. So he rings Randall to Philly. We're on edge. William answers the door with Randall knocking on. Knocks. That's impossible, he says, when Randall announces that he's William's son. I never had children. Then he shuts the door in his face. In the car on the way home, Randall cries and tells Jack he wants to leave home early to start summer classes at Howard University. So he does. He gets involved in fraternity life on campus and returns home infrequently, though he is there for the big dinner with Kate, Kevin, Sophie, Rebecca, and Jack. This time around, the notable changes are that Beth isn't there because they never met, and Jack is drinking a beer. Everyone is on edge and it's very quiet, though Rebecca gamely tries to make conversation. When Rebecca tries to draw out Randall, Jack says, back please, in a controlling way we don't usually hear from him. Randall suddenly gets up and says he's going back to school right then. There you go. Jack clearly blames Rebecca for their son's issues with the family, and we're left with Rebecca trying to hold back tears to the table. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Things haven't improved much by the time Jack gives his pre-wedding toast. Only this time it's an event for Kevin and Sophie. Randall is there with a woman I will refer to as not Beth. And after last week's episode, I nearly fell out of my chair laughing at it. He's also got a mustache. Not Beth says he doesn't talk about his family much, and he assures her that they're going to leave as soon as he puts in a few minutes of FaceTime. This Randall is a college professor, and Beth is his teaching assistant, and he talks with Kevin. We learn that Kev went into construction and now works with Jack at Big 3 Homes. And we know this because their conversation is so weightless, you could apply it to rebooting math. It's clear there's no real relationship or warmth between the two men, and when Kate, who has two little girls, twins, with a man named Ethan, by the way, Randall says he'll think about coming, but Kevin calls him out. You do it all the time. You think about it, and you never show up. Then Randall retorts that he's only there because Jack asked him to be. It's getting ugly when Rebecca steps in to cut off the argument. Randall is cut. He's short with her, and then leaves. In his office one night, Randall notices a package of William's things, which a friend had shipped to Randall after the old man passed away. The book of poetry is there, along with William's hat and some newspaper clippings that indicate he kept track of Randall after the first and last meeting. Randall picks through all and then throws the entire collection in the trash. Another morning, after with another not Beth, Randall gets a call from Jack. He's asking him to come home for Thanksgiving because Rebecca's memory is starting to go. It's been a long time, Jack says. You're going to have to forgive her at some point. So Randall does just that, putting his aged mother in a huge moment. She opens the door to her home. In Dr. Lee's office, Randall is getting more agitated by the moment. She points out that he can't control the outcome of everything in life. For instance, even if he had been at the hospital with Jack and Rebecca, the results of Jack's widowing heart attack probably would have been the same. But Randall says that he could have tried like he did with William, which wouldn't have been comfort in years. I don't need an excuse for an overpriced therapist in cheap shoes to understand that he adds nationality, then immediately apologizes. As Randall sits across from her and tries not to argue, Dr. Lee points out that he's so focused on his father's, but if you think about it, your life has really been defined by your mother's. Sorry. The one that died when he was a baby and the mother that lied to you for 36 years, he quickly says he's forgiven Rebecca for what she did. And Dr. Lee says, have you? Adding that on both Randall's scenarios, the thing that followed Jack's survival was Randall finding out about William years earlier than he did in real life. The therapist points out resist that Randall chose her because of the same gender and race as his mother, and probably around the age she was when your father died. What Randall really wants, she adds, is someone similar to his mom to help process her actions and her illness. And by now, poor Randall is barely hanging on. He got a request for her to put in a fine point on what she's saying. Observation. Even in the worst vision of your life, you still protect your mother's. You still redeem her in the end. It's a question, have you ever really confronted your mother about what she did to you, about what she kept from you? At home, we watched Rebecca gather up all the emotions she drove out at the day sessions and pointed at Rebecca with an agenda. He calls her in California and begs her to change her mind about the experimental clinical trial in St. Louis. I know you don't want to, but you have to, he adds. Tears coursing down his face. On the other end of the line, Rebecca is wrecked too. And before the conversation is done, she said that she will enroll in the trial. Randall's action jive with what she tells Dr. Lee before leaving her office at the end of his hour. I've already lost 3 parents. I know that losing my mother would break me. I can't lose her. I will do anything that I can from happening, whatever it takes. So we'll certainly find out what that'll mean, what that'll entail, all that stuff for sure. But all in all, another great episode. Look forward to the next one as always. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there. And above all else, as always, take care.